Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Superself Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, and welcome to Makeover Monday. Makeover Monday is that day where you got to start to analyze how your week went last week. How did I do? How did I do with my health, my diet, my spiritual life? Did I wrap it up well? Am I ready to face the new week? If you didn't like next week, I got good news for you. It's a whole new week. 1 week at a time, we say. How are you, Kaustubha?
I'm doing good. Good to be here with you this morning.
You do anything transcendental yesterday?
Transcendental? I did the show with you. That was nice.
A good show. I got a lot of feedback from that show yesterday.
Yeah. I read the Paramatma Sandarbha by Jiva Goswami. That was nice. Read some Bhagavad Gita. Went to the beach. Had a little dinner on the roof. These are all nice things. Taking prasad, It's all transcendental. With this bhakti thing, you could just turn it all into you turn
penthouse dining into a transcendental experience.
Yeah. How about you?
I went to Lev's house. I needed to get away.
Lev is your new friend here. I see. It's all Lev friend. This, Lev that. Lev's got a place out in the woods. Lev's got a small little house out there.
He's deep in the woods. And, I'm like at various crossroads in my life. So I needed to just go into the woods and pray. I didn't even hang out with Lev. We just ate together. But mainly I just walked in the woods.
You sat in silence.
On the Taconic mountain range.
Wow.
And just prayed. I just did prayer.
Whoa, okay. Hold it. You were setting me up. You're saying, did you do anything transcendental?
Because I prayed all day long.
I was in the woods praying.
I don't know what you were doing.
That was a setup.
I ate dinner on the roof. Everything's transcendental. I was on my knees, kneeling on a bunch of bark, praying to Jesus, God, all the saints.
No, that does sound more transcendental in my day.
I tell you, there's something when you can chant just loud, scream your prayers.
Hold it. This is what was going on out in the woods?
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Were you scaring the animals?
I think I was. I was trying to chant extra loud because there's bear around there. So I was trying to okay, Hare Krishna, bear. Subtitles, run away, bear.
And did you come out of the woods with any nugget of realization for us? Any wisdom? Any something you could share? Something that you gained there?
God knows God. Here's my nuggets. God knows exactly what I need.
There you go. Okay. If only you did, right? If only we did.
Well, I said to God I don't want to choose things. I will need you to choose for me.
Oh no, I like that.
And I don't want to choose things. My choosing is always it's corrupt. It's oftentimes corrupt.
Corrupted by the demands of the senses, choose the mind.
Yes, senses of the mind and some low brow, skeevy desires.
Okay.
I'm a little skeevy. I'm a little bit skeevy. He's a little bit transcendental.
No, I like that.
Only
So in
Greg
other
Nagasu
words,
gets that joke.
it was the will. You're trying to surrender your will to the
Yeah, I'm trying to
Lord.
surrender. I was trying to surrender my will. I want to know. I want to like, what do you want in this world? And it always goes back to, well, Krishna, what do you want? You know what I need. You know how to take care of me. I don't have to pray for something
And you
material.
found that going to the woods helped you get to that place.
It really does. It really does, because no one's out there and you can just scream. It was beautiful. It brought me to this quote, similar to the one I posted on Instagram, which I'm not going to read, but I'm going to read this one. But check out my Instagram.
Okay, you got a different one. Okay.
Yeah,
let's hear it.
this is from Rumi, a
Rumi.
sage of sorts.
Were you contemplating a little Rumi out there?
I was out in the woods contemplating Rumi. It's your road and yours alone. Others may walk it with you, but no one can walk it for you.
Say it again. A little slower this time, please.
It's your road,
Okay.
yours alone. Others may walk it with you, but no one can walk it for you.
All right. And so your thoughts on that?
Well, it's one of those things like, actually, truthfully, yesterday's walk in the woods was more about my quote. This is just a quote I found. Also.
No. Well, it seems to. In other words, when you're alone out there in the woods, it's kind of, I guess it kind of gives you a little focus that, whatever decisions I make in my life, I have to contemplate deeply, and that I can't just like go along. I have to make a move, and it's my move that I make in relation to God, right? I think it relates.
You understood it deeper than me, actually. Yes, that's exactly.
It is our whole bhakti thing has so much to do with sangha and so much to do with
There you go.
the right association and all that. So that's all there, right? And people can walk the path with you.
Yeah.
But in the end, you have to, there's like a very deep kind of surrender of one's own will. No one can do for you. Like you actually have to get to that point yourself. And I think it does require sometimes we have to isolate ourselves a little bit, like, so that sangha is there, but there's also got to be those quiet times. I'm beginning to feel that a little bit more too as I get older. I remember once I was with Raghunath Swami in Vrindavan. We're on like it was like a Vrindavan Parikrama with like 5,000 people, something like that. But at one point I was lucky and I was kind of next to him, and we, where we were at? We were at Nandagram, right?
Nandagram. I was just talking about Nandagram. I was talking about Nandagram all day yesterday.
Really? Look at
With
this. That's a
Lev.
Krishna miracle right there.
That's a Krishna miracle. It is.
Can we win anything?
Because Lev came with me to Nandagram.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. So,
Yeah, and we went to
Lev,
this-
it's always Lev.
Were you with
Lev
us?
went with
No,
me
we went
to
to this-
Nandagram.
We went to this villager's house, and they were just I was like, "What was your best meal in India?" And he said, "At that villager's house, they just put us
Was
on
that
the
at the
ground on
villagers
leaf-
or was it at the Pundas from the temple there?
the pundits from the temple."
Yeah, I've been there too. It was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, this beautiful 19-year-old man showed us around.
Uh-huh.
What's his name again? Krishna Murari Goswami.
Nice.
He writes me every day. Sends me
He writes
pictures
every
and
day.
stories. He's like the temple priest. Writes me every day.
That's nice.
It's amazing what like apps can do. Like on
Yeah.
WhatsApp, you get on someone's app thread and they're just like your best friend now.
Yeah.
He's sending me pictures, mango festivals. It's beautiful.
Okay. So,
But anyway,
yeah. So I was with Raghunath Swami at that place, and there was like so many devotees that he was speaking to like 5,000 devotees there or something like that. And then when we're walking away from the place, he says, he turned to me and said, "Isn't this place so nice?" I said, "Oh, yeah, it's wonderful." And he said, this was what was it? Is it Pavan Sarovar? What's Sarovar? There's
Pavan
a lake
Sarovar.
at the Pavan Sarovar.
Pavan
at the-
Sarovar.
At the foot of that hill.
swam
Nandagram
in
is
there.
like this.
Swam
hill.
in there. It was beautiful.
So he said, "Isn't this a wonderful place?" I said, "Oh, it really is." And he said, "Wouldn't you just like to sit here alone, like, for a long time?" And I didn't feel it then like he did. I was like, "Oh, yeah," but, I could see that's...
Isn't it great when the guru says something like, "Wouldn't you like this?" And you're like, "No, not actually, but I won't say that in front of you."
But I could see, within him, there's that calling to be alone sometimes. Because when you're alone, actually, then you realize I'm sitting with God, like you sit with God more.
Yeah.
It's more tangible sometimes like that.
Yeah, that I think a 12-step person, I can't remember who. I don't think I'm allowed to say who because it's 12-step. There's anonymity, but the idea of I will help you, but I will not. I will walk with you, but I will not carry you. As far as people, instead of like codependence, where you're trying to help someone recover, you can't. You can be part of the community, but I can't help you surrender to God. That's up to you. I can assist you. I can be there for you. For example, I can give birth to my children. I didn't give birth to them, but you know what I mean. But I can raise my children, but I can't. Oh, Krishna, it's Monday morning. I can't. I can raise my children, but ultimately they have to opt in to surrender to God.
You can't carry them in that sense.
You can give them everything, but everybody's got their free will and needs to do what they want. And and that's a big part.
I was gonna say, I just think cultivating that aloneness or that aloneness with God, it's kind of also a way of preparing for death. Because like that is the moment where it becomes, where if you hadn't realized it by then, you realize it at that point that I'm alone, right? Like I'm about to step away from everyone, and I'm moving down a road. I'm being pulled down a road that no one can stop me from being pulled down. Yeah. And so if we're already familiar with that feeling of being alone with God, if we've already accustomed ourselves with it, if we've already become comfortable with it, well, then we can pass through that test, that challenging, very challenging experience, with a cool head and deep prayer and a deep state of consciousness, spiritual consciousness.
I actually love this idea because I'm a very gregarious people person, but really my spiritual life is my responsibility. All
right.
Can I say a prayer right now for Greg DeGase's dad, who's going through it right now? All of us, a little Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He's our daily listener, and his dad is suffering right now. We're extending our love and praying for his deep connection. He's old. He's like my mom's age, like 95.
Wow.
So, that's the prayer today, Greg. We love you. All right. Mary, you good? Mary, I've got a good idea for your company.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Right. It's simple. It's very simple. Stop wearing black. Only wear white. Changes everything. Little ships.
It might work okay for my servers, but when you cook the food, I get kind of messy. I think it would get dirty.
Something you haven't thought about, Raghunath. Think about that one.
You gotta wash your clothes, Mara.
Thank you. Very wise advice.
Just Leela Velasini called me up, and not called me up, but she sent me a message about never wear black during puja. It attracts all Vaishnavas don't wear black. She said it was a whole thing. Interesting thing. It just attracts lower energy, bad energy. It attracts right to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
She'll
Put
take
that
that
out
into
there.
consideration.
Well, because Rocco, my daughter and my son worked for her yesterday.
Yeah.
And they walked out of the house looking like two ghouls. What the hell? I was like, where the hell are you going? Susie Sue and the Banshees concert.
Okay, Robbie.
Okay,
ready?
let's dive into this sweet ambrosial nectar of the Srimad Bhagavatam. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devam saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated in loving service to the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyanat Marandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Midatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers have opened my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. What episode is this?
This is
471.
471.
What?
We're coming up on that 500. We got to do something.
That's unbelievable. Special celebration.
Yeah.
All right. We are in chapter 13, Kaustubha, the appearance of the Lord Varaha,
Yeah.
the boar incarnation.
Yeah.
But
Canto
I
3,
can't remember
chapter
what text we're on.
13. Well, I think we got up to 11. Is that correct, Mara?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But why don't we just do a little bit of this, especially since we're starting a new week here, right? Like, let's get back. Right. We've had question and answer day. We've had interview day.
Miracle Day.
Miracle
we had
Day.
Miracle Day, so it's been a long time.
miracle.
Yeah. So we have here in this chapter, which is entitled "Appearance of Lord Varaha," which is coming soon.
Yeah.
But that's that appearance of Lord Varaha, which is going to be a very exciting moment. A special appearance of an avatar of Lord Vishnu is coming. It's right around the corner. But we have the conversation that's going on between Lord Brahma and Swayambhuva Manu and his wife Satarupa. So they both kind of like appeared out of the body of Lord Brahma. This is something I would really love to understand more. But like the bodies of the devas, like particularly like someone like Lord Brahma, it's not a body like ours. It's not made out of the same flesh and everything like that. So it's somehow it's generating different forms. What to speak of the form of Varaha that's about to come out of it, right? But so Swayambhuva, Manu, and Satarupa, they've taken up the service of Brahma in a way that's satisfying to him, and their role is going to be as progenitors, right? As to create progeny.
It's like what you do.
Create progeny?
Create progeny. All over.
Moving a little slow on that one.
No, it's like sort of like you've taken up the duty of Narada Muni. You travel, you give the holy name wherever you go.
I think you do that more than I do.
Well, you do it. You do it.
But in any case, yeah, they're surrendering their will, like you were talking about, right? It's like they're approaching Brahma and saying, "What do you want us to do?" It's not about what we want to do. We're not thinking that like, what do I want to do that's going to make, they're thinking like, how can I serve you? And with the kind of the faith that my happiness will be found in service. So they're not worried about that. It's another way of looking at life, And this is really satisfying to Brahma. So in text 9, he said how pleased he was with Swayambhuva Manu and how he desired all blessings for both him and Satarupa. And he says, because he says this Atmanarpan. I was having a hard time saying this back when we said it before, but Atmanarpitam. Atmanarpitam. That that your Atma, you've made it you've surrendered it, or you've made it an offering, arpitam, right? So Atma arpitam, that you surrendered yourself, and you've done it in a particular way. You've done it near Vyalakena, near Vyalakena Hrida, with complete, full-heartedly, right? Without any reservation in the heart, you've surrendered to me. So we're learning something about what bhakti means here, right? It means I want to serve, and my entire heart is invested in it. Not like part of it, but like when that pure devotional service I'm entirely invested my heart in it. And then in text 10, he goes on, Lord Brahma goes on, and he says that your example is quite befitting of a son in a relationship with the father. And he says this sort of adoration of the word actually uses of the guru. This is required. He says that it's this by the sane people, those who are beyond the limit of envy. They worship that guru with delight and with their full capacity. This is what bhakti looks like, right? Like, I want to serve. I want to serve with my full heart. I do it with joy. I do it with happiness. We've become so jaded because of our experience of people that we don't feel that kind of relationship with. But here it's manifesting itself in a very pure way between Swayambhuva and Satarupa and Brahma. And then in text 11, interesting point was made. It said, "Since you are my very obedient son, here's what I ask of you to do. I ask you to beget children qualified like yourself in the womb of your wife. Rule the world in pursuance of the principles of devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus worship the Lord by the performance of yajna."
Imagine if that was your order. Have sex and rule the world. All right.
I'm down. Yeah. So this is interesting too. I thought Hridayananda Maharaj made an interesting point yesterday, and he went to, he was talking about yajna, sacrifice, right? And he was describing the 4th chapter where it's like, Krishna kind of uses the analogy of the fire sacrifice, which is like the typical Vedic form of sacrifice, where they're priests around a fire, they're chanting mantras, they're throwing grains and ghee into that fire as offerings. And because for Arjuna, that's like, he's seen that, right? He kind of equates that kind of ritual with the concept of sacrifice. We give something to the Lord. We give our respect. We give our appreciation. Our gratitude in this form. But we can also send back that gratitude or even that love through in so many different ways, and we could understand them all as sacrifice, right? And so, like, for instance, if we look at like, say, text, there's a whole list of different ways that people sacrifice. Like text 25 says, "Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them, and some offer sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Brahman. Some, the unadulterated brahmacārīs, right, like the celibates."
What is unadulterated? What does unadulterated mean?
Adulterated means something's mixed in. It's not pure anymore.
Gotcha. Okay.
So unadulterated means nothing's been mixed in it. It's like they're pure brahmacārīs. Like, I guess that, like, say you're a brahmachari in your actions but not in your mind, then you could say you're not an unadulterated, right? So, like, they're pure brahmacārīs. So some, the unadulterated brahmacārīs, sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control. Right? So it's just working with that metaphor that just like I don't have, as Arjuna wouldn't have a problem equating priests sitting in front of a fire and chanting mantras and offering grains into a fire and seeing that as an act of sacrifice. He's saying, choosing carefully what you hear, and that's offering something into the fire.
Right.
Or he says offering the senses into the fire of mental control. In other words, most people are out trying to satisfy the senses. The unadulterated brahmacārīs, they control the senses, and they throw them into the fire of mental control. Interesting, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting because the word sacrifice is thrown around, and what it conjures up is us, like slitting the throat of a chicken or a lamb or something gruesome. But this is the sacrifice. We're sacrificing time, thoughts, words that normally go to complete mundane existence to something very, very sacred.
Right. And then the next part of that text 26, that was the beginning, and then he says, "And others," here's the others.
The others.
And it says the regulated householders. So we're hearing the brahmacārīs, the monks, the celibates, they sacrifice in one way. Through full control of the senses. And then it says, and the regulated householders, they sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses.
They sacrifice this. What verse is this from the Gita?
Well, this sounds like a good verse.
Now, you know what? I've read this 1,000 times, but I'm never had this much appreciation for it.
This is
what
text.
You're doing, man. You're shedding light on this.
Well, this is redone.
You're shedding the torchlight of wisdom on this verse for me.
No, but so text 26 of chapter 4, right? So here. This is kind of like what's being asked of Satarupa and Swayambhuva Manu, to sacrifice the objects of the senses into the fire of the senses. They're being asked to have sex, right? They're being asked to rule, to take power,
right?
But to make an offering of it, not to do it with a selfish motive, but to actually make that an offering into the fire. It's
Oh, Prabhu, this is the biggest thing out there, I think, especially in this like self-help community where you're like, you want to live your potential, you want to live what you can have whatever you want, and the idea is like some of us are made to do bigger things. We have this fear of failure, fear of going forward. We suffer from self-doubt, and you want your potential, but you want your potential to be Krishna. You have a potential. How can Krishna use your body, use your mind, use your intelligence, use your charm, use your artistic talent for his service? That's real potential, not just some now I'm a great leader. Big deal. Mussolini was a great leader. Big deal. Pol Pot was a great leader. Big deal. We're not interested in being just living our potential. We want our potential in a spiritual direction.
Yeah.
That's real potential, huh?
Yeah. How you offer that potential.
Yeah, what do you do with that potential? We meet people all the time, you and me, people are living some great material potential, but they're miserable.
Right.
We want our spiritual potential fulfilled.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Swayambhuva Manu is going to do it.
Yes.
Now we get to, so now we're at the text we'll begin with today's text 12. This is a nice text. And this, you're talking about leadership. In my mind, this verse gets to the essence of leadership, of what it's really all about. Want to read it?
Text 12, ready?
Yeah.
O king.
So that's Swayambhuva Manu, Brahma speaking to Swayambhuva.
Talk about kings so much. I want to meet a king. I feel like it's it's over now. We're never going to meet a king anymore. You know what I mean? It's over. There's no more
There's still
kings.
some kings around.
We need some kings. Bring the kings back. Bring saintly kings back. We've abolished kingdoms, swords. No one has a sword.
You're particularly interested in the crown, Raghunath. I know that.
I want the damn crown. O king, if you can give protection to the living beings,
proper protection
to the living beings in the material world, that will be the best service for me. When the Supreme Lord sees you to be a good protector of the conditioned souls, certainly the master of the senses will be very pleased with you. So this is the king's job, right? He gives protection. When there's a strong protector, thieves, rogues diminish. You see that in
and not only and beyond that, that's the minimal qualification, right? Is in other words to give that physical protection. Then there's also the spiritual kind of seeing to the spiritual well-being of those that are under your protection, right? But this is the essential quality of the leaders, that they protect, right? They protect those that depend on them. And I loved seeing this where up to this point it's kind of okay, Swayambhuva is surrendering his entire will to this other person, right? Is that a safe thing to do? Is that a healthy thing to do? But look at the person and look at how they respond to it. Brahma's not thinking yeah, you're my servant. Brahma says, and serve me, right? He's saying the service to me is actually service to God. And so I'm going to engage you in a way that he'll be pleased. And the way that you're going to do that is by protecting others. Right? So it's he's deflecting everything. Brahma's not, he's not, there's no personal gain that he's getting out of this. Right? He says, he is param, the greatest, shrushranam, the greatest devotional service, mayam, unto me, is prajarakshaya, is that you protect others. You protect your praja. You protect those that are dependent on you. That's what I want to see you be, that responsible person. I want to see you do that on behalf of God. And if you do that, then Bhagavan, Sri Krishna, he'll be, Prajabatur, with the protection of other living beings. Hrishikesha, Krishna, the Lord of the senses, anutushyati, or there's that tushyati, right? That he'll be satisfied, he'll be pleased. So this
Rishikesha, that's great. It's a great name, huh? For Krishna.
Rishikesha, yeah.
Rishikesh.
The Lord
Alexia likes to go to Rishikesh. We all go to Rishikesh. Tom Essig, Rishikesh. Think of all these people. Rishikesh is a name for the Lord, where he's the Lord of all our senses. Our senses are meant to be engaged in the Lord's service. When my senses are not engaged in the Lord's service, my senses cause me big trouble. What a beautiful name for Lord Vishnu.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just, this is what guru-disciple relationship is meant to look like. It's like, not like the guru's taking anything for themselves, but the guru's trying to engage you in a way where you can please God. And here it's being pointed out, what's your role? He's saying protect other people. He's not saying go collect money for me. He's not saying, he's saying protect those that are dependent on you, and tie it in. You're this kind of person that's going to offer the objects of the senses into the fire of the senses, right? He's seeing the potential of Swayambhuva. The four Kumars took a different path. They control this. They offer the senses into the fire of mental control. That was their path. And now his next group of kids here, they're going to offer the objects of the senses into the fire of the senses. They have another path. Both are valid paths. Both are being glorified in Bhagavatam. Okay, then text 13.
Text 13, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the SPG. We could shorten it. The
No,
SPG.
but he didn't say.
Oh, I'm sorry. The SPG, Janardhan,
Yeah.
Lord Krishna. Janardana, that means the Lord of Men, right? The name for
Jana,
Krishna.
yeah.
Jana Ardana. Is that what it means, the Lord of Men?
Jana means like the people.
The people.
Yeah.
Ardana means
maybe the shelter? I'm not sure.
shelter. Ardana.
Yeah. Where's our Sanskrit expert when we need him? We can look it up. But go
I
ahead,
love Hridayananda Maharaj just going.
You've become such a word nerd.
Philologist, perhaps? How about when he said philology yesterday? Did you notice that, Mara? He said philology. I was like, yes, philology. That's my word. All right. Is the form to accept all the results of sacrifice? If he's not satisfied, then one's labor for advancement is futile. Are you going to quote the Gita? Yagyartat karmanonyatra.
Oh, hit it. Go for it.
Like that one?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's the beautiful thing about Nityananda Chandra's shloka memorizing group is when you read something, another shloka just pops out and it's just right there in your head. All work must be done as sacrifice, or else work causes bondage in the material world.
Lokayam karma bandhana.
Lokaya karma bandhana. All work must be done in sacrifice. Everything that you do, Mara. Every what are those things called? Whippers.
Stir, whip
You do. Every
whisk.
rolling
It's called
pin
a
you
whisk.
roll, every pizza thing you spin, Jimmy James. All must be done as a sacrifice in your mind for Krishna. Somehow you got to tie it in together. That's your jobs, you chefs. You got to. How is this an offering? Is it the food itself as an offering? Are you blessing the food, offering the food, giving some proceeds? Donating vegan meatballs, whatever it is. How is this done as a sacrifice somehow,
Right,
or else?
Lokayam karma bandhana.
Loka karma bandhana. The work, the same exact work, exactly the same, causes bondage. One causes freedom, one causes bondage. Same with my big mouth. I'm not off the hook. If my big mouth starts to engage in my nonsense talk, blah, 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 you know that, Raghunath. I just go there all the time. That voice causes bondage for anybody who hears it and for myself. So I got to engage that blah, blah, blah-ness that I do in spiritual life. I can blah, blah, blah about Krishna.
I love it. So it's interesting in this verse, text 13 again. He says that Lord Krishna is the form that accepts all the results of sacrifice. So there's the sacrifice must be done, but where does the sacrifice aimed at? What is the object of sacrifice? That's going to be Krishna. And if he's not satisfied, then one's labor for advancement is futile. He is the ultimate self. Now that's an interesting statement, right? And therefore one who does not satisfy him certainly neglects their own self-interest. That's an interesting statement. Why don't we read the commentary to this?
For 13.
Yeah.
All right. Brahma is deputed as the supreme head of universal affairs. He's the boss. And he is in turn, and he in his turn deputes Manu and others as This is some French word I don't even know. Aaron, you know this one?
We need French help.
We need French. Did you take French in private school?
Charges d'affaires.
Charges d'affaires.
Where's the divine couple? Should we unmute them over there?
Daniel's like, I don't know.
Can you guys help us with this?
Daniel, do you ever say
Charges d'affaires. They're in charge of the affairs, I think.
Daniel and Elizabeth? So they sound like they don't know it either. Okay, they must have went to
Can you
Marist
speak French
school.
over there? Is it French? Is it even French?
Yeah, it's charge d'affaires.
It sounds like they're in charge of the affairs, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Prabhupada was so worldly. Manu and others as charge d'affaires of the material manifestation. Okay, there goes our French correspondents. They're fired.
Where's Isabel Bilodeau? We bring her in here.
Brahma knows how to satisfy the Lord, and similarly, persons engaged in the line of Brahma's plan of the activities also know how to satisfy the Lord. The Lord is satisfied.
Just quick. Isabel Bilodeau says it means in charge of the business.
Okay.
The boss.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Please continue.
They're from Toronto. She's from Montreal. How did they not know that?
No, they're both from Montreal. They're all from Montreal.
No, they're not from Montreal.
Come on. Where's the divine couple from?
Daniel.
They're from Toronto or from Montreal?
Give me a thumbs up if you're from Toronto.
No.
Okay.
They're Montreal.
Montreal.
Yeah. Close
Ish.
to Montreal.
Oh, they said ish.
Yeah.
The hand signal when you wave it up and down like that means ish. Okay. All right. Everyone wants to satisfy his senses, but above the senses is the mind.
Okay.
Above the mind is intelligence. Above the intelligence is the individual self, and above the individual self is the superself. And even above the superself is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the SPG, Vishnu Tattva. The primeval Lord and the cause of all causes is Sri Krishna. The complete process of perfectional service is to render service for the satisfaction of the transcendental senses of Lord Krishna, who is known as Janardana.
Okay. So we have it's mentioned here. Did you read that whole commentary, by the way, or did you skip like a large portion of it? The Lord is satisfied by the process of devotional service consisting of the ninefold process of hearing, chanting, etc.
You know, I might have skipped.
It is in one's own self-interest to execute prescribed devotional service. And anyone who neglects this process neglects their own self-interest. Right, did you read that?
I missed it. That's like the best part of the whole purport.
Yeah, it's a real important
Sorry
part.
about that.
No problem. But so it's saying that it's kind of like it gets back to those analogies that we use. Like what's in the self-interest of the hand? Is it to just squeeze food and enjoy it on its own? No, it's to feed the stomach, right?
You're just squeezing the food.
It doesn't work.
Oh, plums. A plum.
It's like I can't taste it. I'm not getting nourished
squeezing
from
it, but it's not enjoyable.
Yeah, because the hand, its very existence is in relation to the stomach, right? It's like it's only through the stomach that it becomes nourished, it becomes satisfied.
The hand cannot enjoy alone. It must serve the greater being.
Yeah,
we are like that hand, people.
Yeah.
We are part of something bigger. When we try to enjoy alone, we suffer tremendously. When we divorce ourselves from God and our spiritual life, our life becomes ghastly, like a hand cut off from the body.
Ghastly.
Love that word.
And so then the commentary continues that everyone wants to satisfy their senses. That's the opposite mentality, right? It's like that's the beginning of like the miscalculation of the whole thing. That's when the hand starts to think, I just need to satisfy myself, right? Like I just need to taste this food on my own, right? So we all want to satisfy the senses, but now here comes jnana, like here comes knowledge. This is straight out of Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter. Maybe we should read a bit of that.
Yeah,
he says, everyone wants to satisfy the sense, but above the senses is the mind. The senses are just the plug-in devices. You know, the eyes are the camera.
Yeah.
The ears are the microphone, right? They're
the
just
tongue?
plugged into the mind, which is like the computer. So the above the senses is the mind. And here, like by mind, I think especially he's talking about the impulsive part of the mind, the part of the mind that has its likes and dislikes programmed into it, right? Artificially programmed into it. There's a part of the mind, the manas, the larger mind, the chitta, called the manas, which is impulsive. It's just due to our experiences in life, what's come through our senses has programmed that part of our mind to think, this will make me happy. When I see this form, I think, oh, that'll make me so happy. When I see this other form, I think, oh, that can't make me happy at all. Right. So
Nothing's going to make you happy. That's our takeaway today. Nothing will make you happy
well, in what sense it's true
in this
because-
material world.
or even
In this
even
material
that,
world.
Even that statement is almost like could say is absolutely true. Not even just like it doesn't even need to be qualified because, in other words, nothing's going to make you happy because you're happy by nature, right?
Ooh, we're already happy.
right? Yeah,
Just forgot. We just forgot.
You just forgot. You just got to wake up to it. So there's that part of the mind, the manas, which is above the senses, and but beyond that is the intelligence, the buddhi, right? This is getting into the old Katha Upanishad analogy. You want to share that one, Raghunath?
Know it.
You know what you know it.
He's trying to Krishna punk me.
I thought you had this one easy. Come on. We're talking about the senses and then the mind and then the intelligence. What's the analogy for that?
Senses, mind. I can't remember. Give me a hint. That was the hint. I don't know.
mean, like I can't
Just
remember
say
anything
it.
more. It describes the bodies like a chariot. Right?
Ah, yes.
And the senses are like the horses. And the manas, that part of the mind, that's that impulsive part of the mind, is like the ropes. And the driver is the intelligence, and the passenger is the soul. Right.
Ever see that famous Bhagavad Gita painting, and it's like the different horses, and one of the horses has a big placard on his chest of a nose, and one has like the tongue, and one has the eyes. I was like, this is the craziest painting I've ever seen.
These are the kind of things you got all caught up when you're first coming to this, right? Like, why does that horse have a big nose on his chest?
Yeah, so but it's a great analogy.
Yeah.
The senses are dry. You know what I use now? I just update those analogies. I never say like the senses like the horses. I always say you're holding the wheel, you're driving down a hill, and then you let go of the wheel.
What?
Now who's driving who? Who's driving? The car's driving you.
No, well,
So
yeah,
once you
I like
let
the
go
horse
of
one
the
better.
senses have to be controlled. Once you let go of the senses, it's all, or the vehicle is just taking you wherever like gravity, force, karma wants you to go. You're just getting swept away.
Okay, that's all right. But I'm gonna stick with the Upanishads. I'm gonna stick with the Katha Upanishad because the horses, they actually they really pull you. You know, right?
Yeah.
You got to get them under control, and it's like a battle. It's like you got to tighten up that reins. You got to tighten up the manas, right? But the point is that it's the buddhi, it's the intelligence, it's that part of the mind that where the power of discernment lies. And what we do, like what we're trying to do, all of us together here, like on say every morning on Wisdom of the Sages, or in our daily readings, like Nityananda Chandra's sloka thing, like let me keep, it's such a, it's just a beautiful thing, like again, for those that are interested, you can write to Wisdom of the Sages 108, write to Mara and say, share with me the codes for our Patreon members for that verse memorization, because it's just such a way of purifying the mind.
It really is, Mara.
Isn't it? And are you getting on Mara's case?
She's wearing black too, by the way. You picked up on that. Right now, she's wearing black.
Oh, Krishna.
Mara,
we
I'm going to just
have to
read
tolerate
what
this stuff,
I'm going to read what
right?
Leela wrote to me.
It's our test in life.
Here's what Leela wrote to me. Second, she was giving my daughter instructions for puja.
Oh, that's nice.
She said, never wear black for worship, for any worship. It's one color that is not used in Vaishnav Tantra. It's a color for tamasic worship. And black color catches all subtle negative energy. And that's why it's never used for worship. And basically, in pure Vaishnav, in pure Vaishnavism, Vaishnavas totally avoid the black color, even in everyday life.
Wow. Yeah, you
I tell you these things because we love you, not because we're trying to chastise you. We care about you. I'm looking around now. Who's got black on? Tom Essig, black. Greg DeGase, black.
Take it off.
Make a black Wisdom of the Sages shirt. Trade them in. We'll give you your refund and send you a different color one.
So, getting back to the Bhagavad Gita, let's go ahead and let's look at. I'm just going to read this quick again from the commentary. Prabhupada says, everyone wants to satisfy their senses, but above the senses is the mind. Above the mind is the intelligence, right? That discriminatory aspect of the mind, that where discernment, where reasoning takes place. That can the devotees, they learn how to act in this world, they go from intelligence straight into action, right? It's like it skips over the manas sometimes, right? Like
Yeah.
when you
Yep.
wake up, you got to take that cold shower, and the manas is saying it's cold, it's uncomfortable, don't do it. I'm not listening to you. Boom, right?
Over the
You go
mind.
straight into
That quick.
That's yoga, right? It's that kind of self-discipline.
Just do it.
You just do it. So he says, why am I getting so lost in this? Everyone wants to satisfy the senses. Above the senses is the mind. Above the mind is the intelligence. Above the intelligence is the individual self, the soul. And above the individual self is the super self. And then he goes on, and even above the super self, which is the Paramatma,
Love that.
is Krishna, right? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the primeval Lord and the cause of all causes. The complete process of perfectional service is to render service for the satisfaction of the transcendental senses of Lord Krishna. So this is alluding directly towards the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, right? If you go to text 36, Arjuna says, very interesting question, right? He says, "O Krishna, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, to acting in ways that are like bring us bad karma, right? Like, why are we impelled to do things that harm ourselves, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force?"
I read this when I was 18. I was like, yeah, this is me.
Why is that?
Why are we doing things that we know are going to cause us trouble? Why am I like drawn to it like an iron and a magnet, like white on rice? Like, why am I so drawn to something that I know it's gonna like be a mousetrap for me? Why am I drawn to it? It's
Yeah.
as if by force, my body and my senses are forcing me into something that's going to get in trouble. And Krishna just answers it very easily. He says, "Oh,
Yeah. Well, he said,
Raghunath, it's lust only, you lusty pig."
"You're a lusty dog." He says,
It's
"Yeah, it's
lust
lust.
only.
It's kama, right? It's desire. It's material desire, which is born of contact with the mode of passion, with Rajaguna. It makes me think I'm not satisfied. I need something that I don't have. You know, that's that desire. It's later transformed into wrath because that's the way this material nature works. We're always dissatisfied in the end with it.
You get frustrated, or you don't get it. You want something, but you don't get it. That just become filled with wrath.
dissatisfying,
Mary, you got a
or you
good
lose it.
definition for wrath?
Wrath,
We'll look that one
Yeah. I'll look up.
intense anger, something.
up. Intense wrath. I think it's more like
Extreme anger. Yeah.
okay, all right. You're
And so he says that this we become covered by this. And he says, thus the wise living entity's pure consciousness, the true consciousness of the self, which is happiness, right? It says that becomes covered by their eternal enemy in the form of this desire, material desire, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. It's never satisfied. In other words, the more you try to satisfy your material desires, it's not like they go away. They just increase. It's like pouring fuel on a fire. It's not like pouring water on a fire. It's like pouring fuel on a fire.
goes down a little and then goes back up.
Were you a little bit of a pyro in your day?
Total pyro. Are you kidding? I still am a pyro.
that.
Now I'm a bigger pyro because we get to make these massive burn piles, and then we have like a legitimate reason, like spring cleanup. Let's start a giant burn pile.
Okay, so he says, then he goes on, he says, the senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this desire. The desire sits in our senses. The desire sits in the manas, and it sits in the buddhi. He says, therefore, Arjuna, best to the Bhartas, in the very beginning, curb the symbol of sin, material desire, by regulating the senses, right? It's because if I have desire situated in my senses, and I also have desire situated in the mind, the easiest way to deal with this is the senses. It's easier to control the body than it is to control the mind. The mind is like so hard to control. So you begin by regulating your senses, right? That the intelligence is going to take control, is going to determine what I eat, what I listen to, what I look at, who I associate with, where I go. You begin to regulate that.
That's a big one for a lot of people. Some people, a lot of us struggle with trying to control our senses, our diet. Maybe we're smoking or drinking, and then we get into bhakti. We're like, wait, we got to give that up. We got to let go of that. This is part of what I am. You can't stop drinking beer. You regulate it. Okay, you drink beer on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay.
Yeah, you start.
And it slackens up the noose that sort of like got us by the throat and is pulling us around because you're forced to regulate. Some people are good. They can just say, you know what? I don't do it anymore. It's over. And some people, it's just like again and again, they cannot let go. So we regulate it.
You regulate it.
And that's with anything, not just drinking a beer, just with anything we're struggling with our senses. How do you know if you're struggling with your senses? You know it. You're trying to control it and you realize it's got you and it's not serving you. And Krishna will reveal it to you more and more, what you're struggling with. As you get deeper into the path, Krishna starts showing, and this too is not helping you. Have you noticed? I know you overlooked this one. I know you got rid of the big ones. Now we're going to get rid of the small ones. This too has to be like the way you speak, the way you think, your normal, your quote, normal activities. It's not helping you. You can keep it if you want, but it's not helping you if you want me. That's what happens. It's not a lot of thou shalt nots. It's do whatever you want. But if you want me, this is going to facilitate it. And so then you just put it on a scale. Do I want Krishna or do I want this thing? Or is this thing really just all about my ego in the first place? Or is it helping me forget instead of face reality? This is it. This is it. People think spiritual people are trying to forget reality. We're trying to face reality, not trying to mask our reality or cloud our reality. Huh?
I don't want to be controlled anymore, so I'm going to take control. That's what the yogi's doing.
Right.
So therefore he says, regulate your senses. And he says, and through doing so, you slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. It's my material desires. It's my being controlled by my senses, which is preventing me from knowing myself. You know, it's just blocking my clarity, you know, my clear understanding. So, and then he says what Prabhupada quoted in the verse. He says, the working senses are superior to dull matter. The mind is higher than the senses. The intelligence is still higher than the mind. And the soul is even higher than the intelligence. Thus, knowing oneself, right? This is important, right? Self-knowledge, self-realization. I'm not the body. I'm not the senses. I'm not even that mind, that part of the mind that's telling me this will make you happy. I'm not any of those things. You have to know oneself. Thus, knowing oneself, to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence. O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, and thus, by spiritual strength, conquer the insatiable enemy known as lust or known as material desire. So we see the connection, you know. It's through self-knowledge, it's through knowing myself that I can actually conquer these desires that for who knows how many lifetimes have sent me down this road and down that road and kept me trapped, kept me bound. You know, it's this self-realization. That's what we're meant to, it's really the only way.
That's why we're here.
You have to know yourself.
Figure this Rubik's Cube out.
Takeaways? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got some takeaways here.
Takeaway. Bring it with you today. Write it down. Post it. Tag us. We repost it. We tag you. What's your takeaway?
Cultivate aloneness with God.
No,
Aloneness with
that's
God.
where we started. Right?
Yeah. Fulfill your spiritual potential.
That is a good shirt.
Bring the kings back.
Maris
How
like,
about that
I don't
one?
know, maybe a
Maris
black
like a black shirt, maybe.
if it gets black, I might.
Our senses are meant to be engaged in Krishna's service.
I don't remember saying that.
When we divorce ourselves from God, it becomes ghastly.
Ghastly. That's a good shirt.
Nothing will make you happy.
That's a little depressing. Let's wear that. We didn't sell any of those shirts. Those new Wisdom of the Sages shirts, the Nothing Will Make You Happy shirt.
Can I get that mug? Nothing will make you happy.
Nothing of this material realm will make us happy. There we go.
Okay.
Regulate your senses for the first step to control your mind and conquer desires through self-realization.
I like it. Through a little kirtan too.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Thanks everybody for joining us. Hey, I'm going to be in the Jersey Shore, or Long Beach Island this weekend for the 4th of July. If you want to show up, come on down and hang with me and celebrate at Yoga Bohemia Really excited for that. We go every year. Take the kids, go to the beach, teach them yoga, do some kirtan. That's this weekend, Yoga Bohemia. Also, another good announcement to make. What's the other announcement?
Are you going to do some Sweet Baby Krishna?
Sweet Baby Krishna, that was it. Sweet Baby Krishna tonight. We're getting real sweet tonight.
Someone just started an Instagram account called Sweet Baby Krishna.
You're kidding. They can't do that.
It's probably one of us.
Oh, it's probably one of us, guys.
Do
That's
it.
all right. I'm going to follow them right now. So anyway, Sweet Baby Krishna tonight at 8:30 for Patreon members. If you're a Patreon member, or if you're a Patreon member, kudos to you. Thank you very much. If you like what we're doing, community-supported podcast here, Wisdom of the Sages. Join our Patreon community. And we do things like Sweet Baby Krishna before we go to bed. Kaustubha is always posting valuable information of his lectures. And that's patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages.
I think tonight I'll probably post a new Chaitanya Charitamrita Part 3.
Yeah, it's great. We have some really sweet Baby Krishnas. We just dive into it. And I tell you, it's been the pathway. It's been very, very helpful for me with my transitional, Rahu, ending this Rahu session I'm in right now. And it's quite, I get to lean on Krishna. What?
All right. That's what Balaram does. Once
let me pull him
Prabhupada
back.
asked who's stronger, Krishna or Balaram? You know the answer?
Whoever Krishna wants to be.
No, that's not the answer. The answer is Krishna, because Balaram's leaning on him.
Ah, there you go. Here's my adulterated brahmachari. He's not quite unadulterated. He's a little adulterated. He watches movies with the kids. He's fully adulterated. But he's close.
As long as you're close.
Oh, me and this guy have so much fun. Krishna sent me a brahmachari. It's great.